Technique 4. Format matters. In this technique, you'll be able to ensure that students take their knowledge and express it in a variety of clear and effective formats. Remember, in school, the medium is the message. In order for students to succeed, they have to be able to express themselves clearly in a wide variety of formats. Teachers who understand the importance of this technique realize there is a language of opportunity, the code that signals preparedness and proficiency to the broadest possible audience. It's the code that shows facility with the forms of language in which work, scholarship, and business are conducted. Remember, you have to know your students' level and what's expected of them. If students choose to switch and use the language of opportunity selectively, and only in school settings, so be it. No matter what you tell your students about how they talk elsewhere, making the determination to prepare them to compete for jobs and the next level of English education by asking them to self-correct in class is one of the fastest ways to help them. Remember, it's important to reinforce the highest possible format. You have to require, or at least ask for, more than you're used to asking from your students. This is not only a challenge for them, but for you. There are 4 main types of formats we'll be talking about, but the most important thing to remember about format is that you want to express the highest level format possible. Always reach for more. The first format, and one that you are probably most familiar with, is the grammatical format. This is speaking standard and proper English. There's a difference between standard and acceptable English, and if your classroom is only based around conversation, acceptable English will be okay. But we want to aim for standardized English, right? And the potential cost of these small errors, if allowed to persist, can be astronomical. They can be very hard to correct at a later date. So remember, we've got to try to speak as best as possible. The goal in your classroom is not just to communicate, it's to communicate well. So, given the frequency of very real errors by our students, we have to identify the errors and begin the correction. The second format, and the bane of my elementary school existence, is the complete sentence format. While it may seem tedious, it is important that teachers strive to give students the maximum amount of practice building complete sentences on the spur of the moment. We've got to remind students that one word is not enough. The way that I most easily address this format in my classroom is to remind them to use a complete sentence in the question. Who can give me a complete answer to this question? Who can tell me the answer to this question like a scholar? Who can give me the best English answer for this question? The Audible format or the classroom format. There's not much point of discussing answers with 30 people if only a few can hear you. If it matters enough to say in class, then it matters enough that everyone hears it. The method I use to address this format is called voice. This is the most effective way I have found to reinforce the expectation of audible format in class. It's a quick, crisp reminder that creates the minimum distraction from the business of the class. Saying voice to students whose voice is inaudible is preferable to a 5-second disruption such as, "Maria, we can't hear you in the back of the room. Would you speak up, please?" There are 3 reasons why this works. First, it is more efficient. In the language of business, it has a low transaction cost. It costs almost nothing in terms of a classroom's most precious commodity, time. Second, merely stating voice, as opposed to offering a long-winded expectation, suggests that you don't need an explanation for why you should speak up in class. The reason is self-evident, and the reminder makes it clear that speaking up is an expectation, not a favor. Third, by telling the student what to do, as opposed to what not to do, or what he or she did wrong, the teacher avoids nagging, thus preserving the relationship with the student, and allowing them, if necessary, to be reminded often enough to make the expectation predictable, and thus most effective in changing behavior. The unit format is probably the most simple to address. In my classroom, I use this unit format to remind students of singular and plurals, punctuation at the end of their sentences, capitalization, the usage of proper nouns, etc. The big idea of format matters is that it's not just what students say, but how they say it and why they are saying it. Next time you're asking for a complete sentence, remember your second grade teacher. Make Mrs. Kowalski proud.